I think you ought to try whiskey, baby.
I think you ought to try gin.
Gin sounds kind of risky, baby.
Whiskey makes me cringe.
But whiskey makes you frisky, baby.
Oh, much to my chagrin.
I think you ought to try whiskey, baby.
I think you ought to try gin.
Whiskey makes me feel as though I'm smart and strong and tall.
Tall?
It makes me think of things I never thought about at all.
Like mowing the lawn?
And I don't know why anyone wouldn't wanna at least try a drop of corn or rye or wheat or barley before they die.
I don't know.
I think you ought to try whiskey, baby.
I think you ought to try gin.
Whiskey makes me frisky, baby.
Much to my chagrin. Oh, he can't remember the words.
I've been drinking. I think you ought to try whiskey, baby.
I think you ought to try gin.
Okay, your turn.
Is it my turn finally?
Go. You go there.
Whiskey makes you do things that perhaps you might oughta. It's a demon in every drink, and it's a fight in every bottle. Whiskey makes you think that you're acting tough and tall. But babe, I love you, but you ain't all that dumpling.
I think you ought to try whiskey, baby.
I think you ought to try gin.
Well, gin sounds kind of risky, baby.
Whiskey makes me cringe,
Yeah, but whiskey makes you frisky, baby.
much to my chagrin.
I think you ought to try whiskey, baby.
And I think you ought to try gin. Gin seems so sophisticated, crisp and clear and clean. Hints of piney juniper, of England and the Queen. It makes me feel so ladylike, and it gives me what I need. And babe, with the way we're living, I'll take any help I see.
There you go.
When you're drinking gin, you stick your nose up in the air. You walk around the room and you act like I'm not there. You mix your words and paw at every rich man through the door. If I want to taste that bitter, I'll go find a 2x4. I think you ought to try whiskey, babe.
I think you ought to try gin.
Well, gin sounds kind of risky, babe.
Whiskey makes me cringe,
Whiskey makes you frisky, baby.
oh, much to my chagrin.
I think you ought to try whiskey, babe.
I think you ought to try gin.
I think you ought to try whiskey, babe.
I think you ought to try gin.
Who's to say I haven't already tried it? Thank you very much.